Is it possible to date out of your league? Hey everyone, I'm Harris O'Malley from DrNerdLove.com, and this week I want to talk about a surprisingly contentious topic. The idea of who's actually attractive and who isn't, and what that means. For a topic that's ultimately completely subjective, the idea of who is or isn't attractive generates a lot of controversy. We as a culture have pretty firm ideas of what makes somebody attractive. This in and of itself isn't that unusual. Attractiveness, particularly what we consider to be physically beautiful, is a bit of a moving target, and one that's subject to a lot of outside influence. And no influence is more strongly felt than the value that we put on somebody's physical looks. The more conventionally attractive somebody is, the more social and cultural value we tend to ascribe to them. And the more social value we give them, the more we define our own value by our ability to win them. This is never more evident than when others, mostly guys, but women do this too, rank others by attractiveness. The idea of who's hot and who's not is deeply embedded within us because of that perceived social value. And that's because that value, in a very real way, passes on to you by association. The theory goes like this. Somebody who's incredibly conventionally hot has value, and they have power. They can supposedly pick and choose their romantic or sexual partners with great abandon because, hey, they're hot. So, if you want to be someone who dates an 8, a 9, or a 10, then you have to have equal or greater social value. Most of the time that means looks. Of course, there are only so many hot people of any gender. Physical looks falls on a bell curve, and the majority of people are going to fall somewhere in the middle. So, in order to date a 9 or a 10, you have to really be someone special. To give an example of this, in the movie Don John, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character John is incredibly proud of the fact that he's got a dime or a 10 in Scarlett Johansson's Barbara. It's not just that she's gorgeous, it's that she's gorgeous and his. She's the hottest girl in the club, and she's with him, which means that clearly he has value.
That's her?
That's definitely her.
Oh, this girl's more than a dime for us.
Oh my God!
He's someone who can date a 10. That means he's got status. He's got importance. He's the envy of all of his friends. It improves his status because, hey, look who he's hooking up with. Of course, this belief naturally brings up the obvious question of, can two people of two differing levels of attractiveness date? Can a not get with a hot? Can somebody date out of their league, if you will? And if so, how? And the problem is ultimately in the question because it presupposes there's such a thing as leagues, and honestly, there really isn't. If somebody's into you, then you're in their league by definition. While it's true that culturally we treat people who have a certain level of conventional beauty differently than others, that doesn't mean that they actually have more value than someone who isn't as attractive. Nor does it mean that they can only be attracted to someone who is equally as good looking as them. Despite all the Hollywood power couples you see in the media, models do, in fact, date mortals, and the gorgeous do hook up with the simply average. Henry Kissinger, for example, looks like somebody tried to bring a troll doll to life. And he was an infamous ladies' man in Washington, D.C. circles. Serge Gainsbourg, on the other hand, has the Innsmouth look, but the man got more play than a Super Nintendo, having dated, slept with, and married some of the great beauties of his age. Just as importantly, though, the impact of good looks fades over time. In their study, Relational Mate Value, Consensus and Uniqueness in Romantic Evaluations, UT Austin researchers Paul Eastwick and Linda Hunt found that while everybody could generally agree on who was good looking among the opposite sex at first, that agreement changed drastically over time. Within 3 months, not only did the consensus on good looks disappear, but uniqueness, more than anything else, became the most desirable trait in a romantic or sexual partner. In short, getting to know somebody, especially getting to know them over time, makes them more attractive to you. Doctor Who, of all things, actually nailed this relationship dynamic in the relationship between Rory and Amy Pond.
All those boys chasing me, but it was only ever Rory. Why was that? You know when sometimes you meet someone so beautiful. And then you actually talk to them, and 5 minutes later, they're as dull as a brick. Then there's other people, and you meet them and you think, not bad, they're okay. And then you get to know them, and their face just sort of becomes them. Like their personality's written all over it. And they turn into something so beautiful.
This actually brings up an inherent problem in the concept of leagues. There is a conflict in how we think attraction works and how it actually plays out in the real world. Physical looks matter when it comes to first impressions, but very, very few people form relationships with someone they've just met. Most relationships, even purely sexual ones, tend to happen between people who've known each other for a while, sometimes ranging from months to years. Now, this doesn't mean that looks don't matter. Clearly they do, just not quite in the way that we think. Leaving aside the fact that beauty is subjective, literally in the eye of the beholder, the problem comes when we conflate attraction with physical looks. We don't date somebody's face or torso or any particular feature, or at least if we do, we certainly don't do it for very long. We date people and everything that comes along with that. Attraction isn't just about whether you have teeth like chiclets or people are lining up to do their laundry on your washboard abs. Attraction is a multi-axial chart. Looks are a factor, but they're not the only factor, and not always the most important factor. In fact, looks can be overridden by an almost infinite number of other issues. Every woman out there can tell you about people who may be hot as hell, but are utterly unfuckable. Brad Pitt, for example, may be the standard go-to for sexy men, but he's also infamous for never showering or bathing. Yes, he may be buttered sex on toast, but the appeal of that goes away very quickly when you have to navigate through a cloud of pit stank and patchouli to get to him. Attraction is not just about your face or your abs, or your job or your car for that matter. Otherwise, the unemployed, couch-surfing musician boyfriend wouldn't still be a cliche. What attracts people is the sum totality of you. What you bring to the table. This is why you have to ask yourself, what is it that you have that the people that you want to date are looking for?
Oh, hey, that's easy. Money!
No. I know, everybody loves to point at the decrepit billionaire and his smoking hot gold digger trophy wife. But money is great for attracting people who only care about money. Now, if that's your jam, more power to you, but most people are not going to be happy with that kind of relationship. What draws us to other people is going to vary drastically with the individual. Some people are attracted to power. It worked out pretty well for Kissinger. Some fall in love with a person's talent. A musician who can make a guitar sing like a horny angel is not going to be short of admirers. The older guy at the Latin club who salsas like he's got snakes for hips is going to be highly in demand. That cultured, suave world traveler, he's also going to be popular. A great sense of humor and being able to be funny is another way that people attract lovers. I want someone with a great sense of humor is a dating site cliche for a reason. Christina Hendricks' husband is not exactly going to be leading any GQ photo shoots, but he makes her laugh and feel amazing. And I can already hear a lot of you going like, oh, I guess I have to be the most talented person in the world to date. Like, focusing on looks, that's not it either, and you're kind of missing the forest for the trees. If you look at the most successful lovers and ladies men out there, they all have one thing in common, and that's how they made their partners feel. One of the reasons we joke that rock and roll is God's gift to ugly people is because of how music affects us on a deep emotional and primal level, and we associate those feelings with the people who make the music. Skilled actors, on the other hand, have a way of focusing their attention on somebody and making that person feel like they're the only person in the room that matters. The guy who can make women laugh, that's someone who's showing amazing emotional and social intelligence, who understands timing and relationships, and in making somebody laugh, makes them feel good. The dancer? Dancing gets your heart rate up, which excites the rest of you. It loosens you up. It brings you into an almost ecstatic state of mind where you are just inhabiting your body. And also, dancing tends to correlate pretty strongly with other skills as well. So, my question is, what about you? What do you have that makes you unique? What do you have that you bring to the table and lets you connect with others. Don't focus on things like your job or that you're nice. You want to focus on things that let you pass the Grimes test. You want to put that emphasis on the things that you do, the things that fill you with passion and have meaning for you. You don't need to be the best at it, it just needs to be something that you love and that feeds your soul. So, again, what do you bring to the table? Do you have that something that makes you uniquely special, that lets you connect with people on that deep, intense, emotional level? And yeah, I hear all of you who are saying, I got nothing. And here's the thing. That attitude is why you're not able to connect with people. You are closing yourself off with this self-limiting belief that you have nothing and will never have anything that other people might value. And if it is truly the case that you don't have anything special or unique about you, you don't know what it is that you bring to the table, here's my challenge to you. Find it. Develop it. You are capable of far more than you realize if you just invest the time in yourself. And if you're truly stuck, if you don't know where to go or what to work on, keep watching all the way to the end. I've got something for you. But the one thing you need to keep in mind is that those skills, that connection, isn't going to matter if you don't actually, approach people. One of the problems with the concept of leagues is that it becomes a self-limiting belief. The idea that you can't or shouldn't approach someone because they have more value than you. They're out of your league. And frankly, that's bullshit. Yeah, there are people out there who are wolf whistle jaw drop fist bite awooga hot. But they're people. They're human, just like you are. They get zits. They pick their nose. They fart. They stub their toes. They embarrass the hell out of themselves when they say the wrong thing at the wrong time. The value that puts them out of your league is perception, not reality. You have to be willing to take a chance and to put yourself out there and to build that connection. You have to believe, sincerely believe, in your own value and your own worth. Yeah, there are people who will only date people who are sufficiently hot. But people who value looks over everything else rarely have anything to offer themselves other than looks. You want someone who wants the whole you. You want people who value what you have to offer. As long as you can connect with people, really connect with them, inspire that passion in them, help them get carried away in the way that you make them feel, then nobody is out of your league. Hey, thanks for checking out the latest video. If you're having a hard time figuring out your value, or you're not sure how to get started, I've got a worksheet for you to help you out. It's there to give you some focus and direction, and it's totally free, so hit up the link in the comments below and check it out. If you've got a short dating advice question or a topic you'd like to hear more about, hit me up. Leave your question in the comments or send it to me at doc@drnerdlove.com with "for YouTube" in the subject. And hey, if you want to know more about approaching women and making those emotional connections, check out my books. I wrote them, you want to read them, links to buy them are in the show notes below. And if you do check them out, do me a favor. Leave a review on Amazon and Goodreads. It's a huge help. If you're digging the video, you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up button. If you're really enjoying this, if you're getting a lot out of the series and you're finding it's really helping you and you want to consider supporting the channel, then consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/drnerdlove. Even $1 a month is a huge help. Follow me on Twitter at drnerdlove. Join the Facebook page at facebook.com/drnerdlove. And as always, hit that logo to subscribe, check out my other videos, and I will be back with you next time with more tips about love, sex, and dating. Later!